Hello, everybody. Hey, thanks for checking out the stream. I just want to make sure, can you guys all hear okay? Is everything sound check good? I just want to make sure that we get at least thumbs up that you can hear me. Jason, thank you for joining me, man. We want to talk about the OSCP today. That's going to be the topic of our discussion. But as long as everything's good sound wise, if people that don't know you, man, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, so my name's Jason. Go by the name of JSON SEC on YouTube. Other than that, yeah, just a pen tester by day, climber, what is it, yogi, all these other kind of stuff by night. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. So, I mean, tell me a little bit about. I know you're doing some content creation stuff, right? You've got a YouTube channel. What's going on with that?
Yes.
What made you start that path?
Um, it was something that I had on the back burner for about a year. Something that I was meaning to do, and then about this time last year, I finally started. I started more so in the sort of ethical hacking training space, but I've always had more broader plans just to kind of reach out more into kind of like the cybersecurity documentary space, cybersecurity news, real sort of more so cybersecurity journalism. That's going to take a while to transition, but still, the audience seems to be quite keen on the education material, so I'm also keeping that up.
For sure, man. Well, I mean, I
Mm.
know I personally found you because I've been going for the OSCP ever since like fall of 2019. So
Yep.
I was looking up some OSCP related content, and your name
Mm.
came right up. Um, there's one video in particular that comes to mind when I
Right.
think of when I think of you and the OSCP, and I think a lot of other people enjoy it too. You had made a video that was like a day in the life of an OffSec student.
Yeah,
Um,
I was expecting that one.
for those that haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend go check out his channel. Links in the description, and if nothing else, watch that video, and you'll probably want to check out some others. It's just hilarious.
I, I should probably make that video private now.
No, dude, I think a lot of people would agree that that's one of the best videos that you've done comedic wise. Comedic wise, you've got
Yeah.
some really awesome production quality stuff too that is obviously worth a highlight as well. Um,
Mm.
but I want to hear. So tell me about your OSCP journey because you've got a really interesting story, in my opinion.
Right, right.
And I just want to hear it from you.
Why do you think it's interesting? My story in particular.
Well, I think your story is interesting in the event that you like me, had a failure early on, um,
Mm.
but then something happened and you took that failure and you just cranked it over a year and now you're what was it
Yeah.
your second attempt? See, I don't want to tell the story for you, but you ended up
Yeah.
killing it the second time around.
Yeah, sure. So I suppose in the interest of full disclosure, you could technically say I actually had three attempts. So my first attempt, the VPN connection died after about 7 to 8 hours,
Oh,
and the entire exam was nullified. And that 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 hit me worse than the actual failure because there was just so much that I wasn't sure about. There was just so much, I thought I'm always okay with failure. I was always okay with, I'll do the best that I can do. If I get it, great. If I don't, that's also fine. I learn, I get better, and I try again. The first attempt where the connection died, just very anticlimactic and very just heartbreaking because you gear yourself up. So much goes into preparation for that exam, only for it to die 7 hours in.
yeah.
Um, my second attempt, or which I more accurately refer to as my first attempt, I think I got 55 or 60 points with the lab report. I feel like I was doing pretty well with that, but things just weren't clicking. I just couldn't get the final points. I, I can't say too much for obvious reasons,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
for some reason something just wasn't working when it should. Um, so yeah, I couldn't get the last 10 points to scrape over the line. But then between my second and third attempt, or my first and second, way you want to look at it,
Sure.
I I decided to completely change my attitude because there's so much burnout that happens when you're prepping for the OSCP, at least when you did it the way I did it, and just dedicate your whole life to it. Literally nothing else but that. So between my final and the previous attempts, I really actually just relaxed a lot. I put it on a back burner. I started going back to yoga. I started going climbing again. And then I started doing the offensive security proving grounds, which was I did both the play and the practice. I really liked the play category because they were just fun, and that's what it was just reconnecting with what I found was fun. So I was doing those. I really enjoyed those, so it would become effortless. So I could smash out heaps of play machines on proving grounds.
How long would you say you did that for?
Not too long. I've only spent about 2 or 3 weeks on the proving grounds, but there was two other things that I think that really were instrumental in getting the 100 points in the exam. Oh, by the way, I got 100 points in my final attempt. So I really, I said this in a lot of my videos, but we get in this mindset where it's all about smashing out as many machines as possible. Like you need to do 100 machines, 150, 200 machines to be able to pass the exam. I think in total I did 150, which is still excessive, but what I found more valuable was actually reading my notes and consolidating all this knowledge and actually trying to see the pattern. Because when you look at it, if you try and look at it from an abstract perspective, you can see that there's only so many things that can happen, and it always has to follow, one of several paths. So it's just trying to understand those pathways a little bit more, especially with privilege escalation.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just from there, it was really easy. And then the second thing, a huge hack, which I highly recommend anybody who has failed do. You look at your notes, see if you can find the vulnerable software on ExploitDB, download it onto your Kali VM and install it, and then practice attacking it on your own virtual machine or a different virtual machine that you own. You probably won't get these same machines again, but at least you learn how and why you didn't pass. This was really instrumental to me because I didn't get the same machines again, but it was really great for just not feeling so stressed and to be able to just playfully work it out. And when I did that, it was no different to any of the machines that I've done on Hack the Box or Proving Grounds or anything like that. It's the same pattern. It's the same thing. Just the pressure of the exam really gets to you.
I think it's really cool, and I think you've touched on it for sure. It's just that pressure of the exam. It's like it's almost like the OSCP exam, in my opinion, is more of like a time management thing more than anything else. Because I know a lot of pen testers in the field that they're successful at their job and they are unable to get the OSCP certification, or they failed, the first attempt and whatever.
24 hours is just a marathon.
Yeah, and like how Michael has mentioned, burnout is key, and so like it's a very real thing. And I think when you're in the exam, I guess I shouldn't say burnout is key, but burnout happens because when you're in the exam, you're in this time crunch and you're like, man, I'm running out of time. And then you kind of let that get to you a little bit. I know when I was taking it, my first attempt, it felt like, I got the buffer overflow done in like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then I went like 8 hours where I couldn't get a single flag. And I think that just that feeling of like, I'm running out of time made it. I've got my cat visiting. But that feeling made it to where it's like, it pushed me into failure even further,
Yeah.
So and I personally have failed 3 times now. My last 2 attempts, I failed by just a single flag each time.
Oh.
So to hear that you had kind of the same thing happen, and then, you were able to turn that around and just completely knock it out with 100%, like that's fantastic to hear. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, when I was doing the exam, my final attempt, it was really just, it's going to sound counterintuitive, but all time management, all planning, I just chucked out the window and I just said, I'm going to have fun and relax with this, and whatever happens, happens. I didn't time at all. I didn't even know how long I was on my lunch break for. I took a nap. I didn't know how long I was asleep for. I just didn't have any clocks
Wow.
around me,
Yeah.
and I just went for it, and yeah. And I think in about 12 or 13 hours, I had 100 points completed.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
So I think just relaxing is really, really just, I can't stress how important that is, because as I said before, these machines are no different to like Volnhard, Hackbox, rah, rah.
You
But
you had uploaded a
it's just,
video. You had uploaded a video when you basically recorded that moment when you finished your exam and
yeah,
you knew that you passed.
yeah.
And I think that video is
So highly
way
recommend, man.
it's way underrated, man. It only has like 500 views, and like that type of content, like that's I've literally like searched on YouTube for people that had
All
that
right.
feeling, because I can't wait till I have that feeling, you know. I've
Yeah.
felt the other side of that 3 times now, and I'm just I'm excited to actually feel like, wow, I did this, you know. So that
What you
was
don't see after that, though, is like, oh shit, I've got all this time. What the hell do I do with my life now?
yeah, yeah. I think that that's very true. I kind of let myself get into that because at this point, like, I know I failed the OSCP 3 times, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, it feels like I
Hmm.
should have it. It feels like I've already earned it, and I've already started moving on mentally. Like, okay, what's next? Because I know all the content. It's just a matter of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going through
Exactly. Yeah.
going through the exam.
I know
Um,
exactly what you mean. Yeah, it feels like a formality in a way.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm,
if you were to start over from scratch, you know, you
mm,
lost everything, you know,
mm.
what would you do first? Like, you've got, I'll give you 30 days to get as close to passing from zero knowledge. How would you spend that 30 days?
I'd just move career. If I had to start all again, I'd just move completely to something different. I'm not going through that shit again.
Well, that's not encouraging, man. I'm sure we've got people listening that want to know, okay, you know,
Yeah,
they're looking up and they're like, "Hey, that OSCP, it's a mountain, but I can handle it." Or maybe they feel like
yeah.
they can't. I'm telling you, if
Like,
that's you, you can handle it. But Jason, what would you do different?
yeah, no, seriously, it is totally doable. The thing is, I wouldn't go straight into PWK. There's a lot of great resources out there. Try Hack Me, Offensive Security Proving Grounds. I would say get accustomed to everything that you would learn in the PWK course anyway, um, and get into a workflow where you're able to smash out machines in a couple of hours. Maybe have the number of machines is arbitrary, but I'd say anywhere between, I don't know, 30 to 50 machines done, even if they're really easy ones on like Hack the Box and Proving Grounds and stuff like that. That way you'll just be able to hit the PWK. You won't, and because the PWK is, you only have 2, 3, 1 month, however long you lab pass, and it's expensive. You just have that, you just have that pressure to really, push and push. Like I was doing 10 hours a day during PWK.
Yeah.
Whereas if I took it a bit different and just spread it out over a longer period of time and not rush it, and yeah, maybe slowly build up to a total of 30 machines. Now I'll start PWK. I might only get the 2 month pass. I might have to work a bit harder. I might have to, really burn the midnight oil still. But yeah, it's actually that's a is that an Aussie saying? I don't know. Burn the midnight oil.
I've
Have to
heard
work
it.
really hard.
I've heard it.
Yeah. So yeah, you just relieve a bit of stress. There's no the way that you buy the PWK, it really just gets you in the mindset that I need to get my OSCP in a maximum of 3 months, which is just unrealistic.
It is unrealistic, for sure.
It took me a total of 7 months from enrolling in PWK to passing.
I mean, I started in fall of 2019. I'm over a year into that journey, you know. And when I, what's up?
What month is that? Because fall is opposite here.
Oh yeah, good point. I guess it was like October when I started. I think October.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
wow, that's mind blowing to me. Anyway, but yeah, I just made the commitment. Like, I wasn't ready. It was before I'd really started Hack the Box. I had barely really started getting into pen testing. I was a sysadmin, but I wasn't a
Right.
I wasn't a hacker.
Mm.
But I wanted to make that commitment, and putting money on the table and saying, look,
Yeah.
buying that 90-day access, and that
Oh
really
yeah.
just kind of kicked my, it told me like, okay, you're really going for
Radar.
it. Um,
That loss aversion to that much amount of money, like
yeah,
how much? Down here. It's like nearly. I think it's like 2,800 after currency conversion. It's so freaking expensive.
that's insane.
So you really don't want to waste your time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for anybody who's watching though and is like, I'm wanting to get started, but I just, there's 1,000 excuses as to why you don't get started, and one of them is why I can't afford it. And that's
Mm.
true. Like, it's expensive, but in
Oh
the
yeah.
big picture, it's such a small price for all of
Oh
the
yeah.
benefits, in my opinion. And that's a question I've got for you here in a sec. But,
Yeah.
you know, the salary that you're able to kind of earn by getting into
Mm.
the field of pen testing and actually using your OSCP certification, I think in the
Yeah.
long run makes it pay for itself. Obviously,
Yeah. So without going into salary details here, but if I check my salary compared to the rest of people in Australia, I think I'm either at the 97th or 98th percentile.
that's awesome.
Um, so yeah, it does pay for itself very quickly.
Were you making that before OSCP?
Uh, I I think I moved up 1 percentile after OSCP because I got a raise.
Were you making? Would you say the OSCP influenced your ability to make that much money in any way, whether it be the content that you learned or maybe the
Um, uh, how do I say this without sounding arrogant? Um, in the IT field down here, at least, where it's Australia, it's not like Silicon Valley. You have a lot of people who are in their 40s and 50s who just treat their job as their 9 to 5.
right?
You get some, you get some late 20-year-old, some early 30-year-old who is prepared to work hard and like 10, 12 hours a day, invest in study and everything. You just move your career up so much faster. Um, because there's less people here who are willing to do that, especially young people. So yeah, I would say because I already had that tenacity before I even moved into penetration testing, I was already able to get to a significantly high salary before that. But it was, the OSCP, sure, it was 1 percentile, but it's still a fair bit of extra.
Sure. I mean, would you
Yeah.
say overall then the OSCP was worth it?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's not so much the money for me. It was more so I've always thought that I've been great with computer science, right? I'm comp eng background, and like I went to university and everything like that. I graduated second in my cohort. So I've always been a pretty hands-on techie guy.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was really the OSCP just really highlighted there's so much I still don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it was really, really great to actually have your ass kicked a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean that try harder mantra, obviously I think
Mm,
everyone's annoyed with and they hear it all the time.
yeah.
What's your feeling about that, Do you
Uh,
do you agree?
yes
Are
and
you a
no.
try harder guy?
Yes and no. It is good to have that intrinsic motivation where you can really push yourself to try harder in those instances where you feel like giving up or seeking help. But sometimes I think it is important to reach out to other people. So long as you have exhausted everything that you think you can do, and it's just like another dimension of thinking that you just didn't even know existed or you could look into. Um, so sometimes it takes somebody else who's more experienced to go, hey, you haven't even considered this. You
Yeah.
need to go. And it's just those light, those light little nudges. So I don't like how it kind of discourages people from reaching out to get help, but it also, if you can have that intrinsic motivation to actually really push yourself and have that passion and drive, then I think it's good as well. So it's kind of, I don't have a clear answer.
I agree. I think it can be really toxic, and when
Mm,
when you're somebody, but it depends on the person. Like if I'm someone who's like, I don't know how to do this, and I'm not even gonna try, or I'm not even gonna look at it really. I'm just gonna go ask for help.
Yeah.
The answer getting back, try harder, like that, they deserve that answer. But
It's also, I also find that can discourage people from getting into the field though, because if you have absolutely no experience, you don't know where to go, you get stuck on, you know, something, the privilege escalation might be something like sudo su root, and you can't work that out. You're a complete beginner, and somebody says try harder. As well, like that doesn't mean anything to me because I don't understand how permission structures in Linux work.
right,
Maybe if somebody could say, "Hey, go look at Linux permission structures," then you'll be able to work out really quickly.
for
So I
sure.
just don't like how it kind of discourages new people from getting into the field a little bit. Um, yeah,
I'm in a huge agreement with you there. And
yeah,
one thing that I will agree on as far as like try harder does have its place though is if you're on a pen test today, I was testing a web application, and I
mm,
got this like admin interface. That's all I had to hit,
mm,
and I couldn't figure anything out for a long time. And I've
mm,
got no one to ask. I don't have anybody. It's just me. It's me and that web application.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
I can't go look up, what the next step is on a write
mm,
up. I can't go
mm,
to the forums and post and say, someone help me. And so it got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And right as I was
mm.
thinking that, something clicked and I found the vulnerability that let me bypass the authentication. So it was
Oh no,
like, but it was one of those moments where it's like, if you didn't have what I think OSCP is really good at teaching you, which is that try harder mentality, then
mm-hmm.
a lot of people would just give up and walk away, and
Yeah,
that's obviously I think a valuable lesson that the OSCP teaches, whether or not you actually get the certification. Just going through that
mm,
process. Um,
mm.
Someone here asked, they said SLMF. He said that OffSec claims that the PWK has everything you need to actually pass the exam.
Mm.
Do you think that's true? Do you think without any additional augmented information you could pass just off the PWK course?
Uh, uh, I suppose technically they're right, but it's also just saying like, well, I've been on record saying that the quality of the PWK materials is absolutely atrocious. It does not teach particularly well. Just throwing it in a giant PDF is not helpful, and it doesn't teach any background knowledge. So yes, it's got everything you need to do to pass the OSCP if you already know most of the stuff in there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but see, that's the thing, right? It's like if you're
Yeah,
taking a course, you're not supposed to know the stuff. You're supposed to
yeah.
be taught the stuff.
Well, it's just like their prerequisites are really vague, though. They just
They
say
are.
like TCP, bit of system admin. I think they should really do a better job carving out their prereqs, but then they probably wouldn't get as much money from people
Right.
wasting lab time.
I consider the OSCP as an invaluable experience, and I would have never been
Mm,
at where I'm at in my career if it wasn't for that journey.
mm,
Just the people I met, the communities I
mm,
participated in, whether that's Reddit or Discord. I wouldn't have found your channel, right? I wouldn't have made
mm,
this friendship here. I probably wouldn't have made my own YouTube. I mean, I don't have a bunch of OSCP specific content, but
mm,
the journey kind of led me to where I'm at, and that's why I'm
mm.
doing this. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
would you kind of agree that like without the OSCP, like how different would your life be?
Probably not a whole lot because I was a pen tester prior to doing the OSCP. Um, it has helped fill in a lot of knowledge gaps. It has helped me to become a lot more resilient, faster in what I've done. Um, yeah, it wouldn't be a hell of a lot different because yeah, I was already on that path anyway, and I've got e-learn certs prior to doing the
Okay,
OSCP.
nice,
But yeah, probably not a whole lot different for me.
sure, but I
But
think
it's not to diminish how valuable it was, though.
well, it sounds like you just had a different path. Where I mean, what
Yeah.
what was your why then? Why did you want to do it to begin with?
Um, I guess to prove myself, really.
Yeah.
To prove myself to myself, and also, I don't want to. I've got ambitions of moving outside of penetration testing more into security management, your CISO type roles. I have come across a lot of people in the field who just talk the talk but don't walk the walk. They bark off orders, and they tell you to do things, and they say that's a problem when they really have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's more about, for me, with my career ambitions, to actually have the required skills and knowledge before moving into your upper management positions. Because I think that's dreadfully underrated. If people are just, have an interest in security and they're good at barking off orders, then yeah, good, you're promoted to manager. Whereas if you have like really good background knowledge and gradually move up into management positions, then I think you can just be much more effective.
That's awesome. That's good points. Steve
Yeah.
mentioned that he thinks that the new content of the OSCP PWK, he thinks that that's better than the old content. Where did you fall? You probably purchased your stuff after the new stuff got released, or?
Yeah, I was in the new batch.
So I was in this
Yeah,
unique. Oh, sorry.
I agree with Steve. It is better, but the amount of exercises you have, even more exercise, and it's just dreadful to do that report.
Yeah. So I was in this unique position where when I first started, it was the end of 2019. So I had actually purchased the course materials that were recorded in 2013 or whatever, the old stuff.
Yeah.
So I went through all that and I got to experience that whole thing. And then February they announced, hey, we redid the course materials. I failed my first exam. So I went ahead and was like, yeah, I'll pay the extra to upgrade to the new stuff. So I actually got to go through the old course and the new course. And I would agree. I think the new course is definitely better. As far as like a refresh to the content. But in my opinion, the OSCP has never been about the content as much as just like the methodology and you know, the mentality.
It's all about the lab.
Yeah.
And the exam.
Exactly. So I know that we're hitting for like a sweet spot of around 30 minutes and we're coming up on that time. Are there any final things that you'd like to say to maybe someone who's thinking like, I want to do the OSCP, but I don't know where to go?
Yeah, no, I will go to JSON SEC on YouTube. That should be your first place to go.
There you go. Go subscribe right now. If you're watching this, hit the link in the description. Subscribe to JSON SEC. Seriously, follow him on Twitter. The dude's got some awesome content. He's doing great work.
Thanks. No, but I would, if you're coming from nowhere, I'd say TryHackMe would be probably your best first resource, because that will have everything that you need to get started. So even if you have no experience setting up a virtual machine, no Linux experience, TryHackMe will teach you all of that, and then beyond that, and get you prepped up to do OSCP, Hack the Box, stuff like that. So definitely recommend that.
Perfect. Well, that's awesome, man. I definitely appreciate you taking some time out to come and chat with me and hang out with the stream. Yeah, it's hopefully maybe we can do more content like this in the future if it's something that people are interested in.
Yep.
Do you have any final plugs? Any next big things for you that you'd like to go ahead and shout out?
Well, if you're interested in, your full cyber security documentaries and things like that, yeah, like anything from cybersecurity news to looking into past incidents, check out my channel, because I'll be focusing a lot more on that this year. Doing some proper writing classes so I can actually be a proper journalist, or try to be at least. So yeah, check that out. Before I go though, I think there are a couple of questions we haven't answered.
Wow. Yeah, sure. Feel free. Go ahead and read them off.
Hey Jason, have you done the... Yes, I have done the PPT. Feels like ELAN focused more on methodology. The problem I thought with ELAN, Steve, was that I didn't get that rote learning that the PWK gives you, because that gets you doing lab after lab. That's what I liked about the OSCP, while PPT was all about just, this is how you do this technique and this is why it works, which I think is really great. I kind of see it as, the EC PPT is like university, where you learn all the content, and the OSCP is like your job placement, where you actually learn on the job. That's how I would distinguish them. And earlier on, Michael said, do I use Cherry Tree, or do we use Cherry Tree? I use OneNote. I know a lot of people out there don't like being part of Microsoft's ecosystem, but
I use Cherry Tree.
All right. I just love how it syncs everything to the cloud.
Yeah.
If my Linux VM screws up for some reason, I haven't lost all my notes. Even if I want, even if I was like heading to the city and I'm on the train and I just wanted to read through my notes, I can do it on my mobile. So yeah, for me, OneNote was just really invaluable. But I know a lot of people don't like being part of the Microsoft ecosystem.
OneNote's just never seemed. I don't know. I've never given it a fair shot, admittedly, but I like the tree structure of Cherry Tree. Being able to add subnodes and stuff like that, that's really attractive to me. But in all honesty, I use Cherry Tree on engagements and assessments and when I'm working through the exam. But now most of my notes are actually like I just publish them as a blog post. Like if I learn something new, I'll just make a blog post at infinitelogins.com and it's just like I've got it from anywhere. Yeah, small plug there. Yeah. But I've got it from anywhere, right? Like if I'm on a different computer, I'm on a work computer, I'm on my mobile phone, I can just go to my blog and pull up what it is I'm looking to do. And so I'll make my own like enumeration cheat sheets and things like that, and I don't have to worry about looking up commands in OneNote. I've got it all right there. So
fair.
I would recommend for someone who might be looking to get started in this field and is going to be looking for a job, do a blog. I think it'll be helpful for you. I think you'll use it more than anybody else. But when you go and you start talking, interviewing with people, the people can look at your blog and they'll see, okay, well, if he can write well, and we know he can develop a report well, and we can also see, okay, well, this is his enumeration process, and he knows, okay, well, this is where he's at technically. So I think all the way around, it's a win-win.
Yeah, totally. Something I should have actually started, but I just never did.
If you ever do, man, especially if you're getting into journalism, let me know. I'd love to read that content.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I think we got all the questions here. So thank you everybody who's been watching the stream, and I guess I don't have anything else to say, and I always end things really awkwardly. So we're in that weird awkward ending phase. So I'm going to end the stream here, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
How about you let me do the sign off?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's redo it.
All right, thank you everybody for watching. You have been watching Infinite Logins here on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe to his channel for more great content about the OSCP, cybersecurity, and more. I've been Jason, otherwise known as JSON SEC. This has been Harley, otherwise known as Infinite Logins. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we'll catch you in the next one. How's that?
That's so much better. Yeah, I'm just going to cut the whole thing, and we'll just do that. Everyone who's watching the stream, just forget about this awkward ending. All right, see you guys.
Catch you guys.